And we're going to be looking a different angle now on how peer support can help hear the unheard. And I think this was gauged by the assessment of abstracts as being a really important area to be shared with midwives. So I'm really so pleased to introduce another double act. We've been so lucky with our double acts today. And the first person I'm going to introduce is Shelley McBride, Derby Community Parent Programme Community Coordinated at Ripple Z CIC. That sounds good. And she's developed a partnership working within the community to support expectant and new parents. And she's worked with the local maternity services to embed safe peer support within Royal Derby Hospital. And this provides the support on directly labour ward, antenatal clinics, pre and postnatal wards, and the mother and baby mental health unit, as well as developing virtual platforms throughout COVID, which has been, I'm sure that's been a very busy time for you. Now, what I should have said is I'm just pulling out edited highlights because I want to give as much time to the speakers as possible. So if you want to know more about Margaret or Shelley or Emma, you just need to go on to the website and you'll see all their full CVs. These are fantastic people with marvellous CVs. You'd envy them, I have to say. And Emma Roberts, who is a Derby Community Parent Programme one-to-one coordinator with Ribble Z CIC, and she supports volunteers to provide this safe, effective and evidence-based peer support throughout pregnancy, birth and beyond. And she represents the programme at all safeguarding meetings and liaises directly with professionals involved in the parent and family. She's passionate about ensuring that peer support provided is safe for both volunteers and parents. And she has responsibility, because of that, for risk assessments and maintaining self-practice. So without further ado, I welcome Shelley and Emma, and the screen is now yours to share, however you've decided to share it. Welcome.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our presentation today. We're going to take you through sort of the place peer support has in hearing the unheard. I won't reintroduce ourselves as Sue's just beautifully done that for us. So I'll hand over to Shelley.
Thank you. So we've put everything onto a PowerPoint today, but obviously lots of you have been listening to different things. So we're going to talk through the PowerPoint. So if you need to switch your screen off for a little bit and you just want to listen, or equally if you're sick of listening to people and you just want to read through, do whatever works for you. A little bit about, we'll refer to ourselves as DCPP because it's a lot quicker. But we recruit and train people from the local community, and we provide a whole range of peer support to a really diverse group of groups of families. What we're talking about today is families who are facing multiple disadvantages throughout their pregnancy and what the support looks like for them. The Birth Companions did a really interesting report recently, which really goes into more detail about that. Definitely worth having a look through it if you just Google Birth Companions multiple disadvantages report, then that will give you a bit more of an overview. Peer support, you all know what kind of peer support is. We're affiliated with Parents First, and Celia, who is the CEO of Parents First, is the next Ask the Expert, so definitely worth booking on. She'll be able to give you an overview of what that looks like. As I've said, we're talking about parents who are facing those loads of different social complexities and multiple disadvantages, and sometimes throughout the pregnancy they don't even know if the baby is going to be going home with them in their own care. So it's really important that the care that we provide through peer support is safe, up-to-date, evidence-based. And in order to do that, we do all the things that are highlighted on the PowerPoint. Lots of training sessions. 4 of those are with a senior midwife on the labour ward, which enables our peer supporters to provide really good, effective birth support. Regular supervisions, experienced safeguarding staff. I could go on and on, but I'll just pass over to Em to sort of go a little bit more about what the relationship looks like.
Thanks, Shelley. So sort of the crux of the programme is that we work on a basis of clear ground rules and boundaries, with an ethos of being open and honest. And that's something that we model as staff, as volunteers, and model to parents, and hopefully allow them and support them to incorporate that model into their own lives as well. And Shelley will touch on later how that plays a part in sort of maternity and midwifery care. Our whole staff team are trained volunteer peer supporters as well. So from the moment somebody has contact with the programme, whether it is with a member of staff or with a volunteer out in the community, they begin to receive strengths-based and non-judgmental conversations, which really set that effective foundation for one-to-one support. So our volunteers do go out into the community, as Sue introduced Shelley at the beginning. That's sort of Shelley's area where she leads, and our volunteers go out into those areas of the hospital, the neonatal unit, the labour ward, the antenatal clinics, specialist antenatal clinics, mother and baby mental health unit, and we speak to women and families, and we introduce the programme, but we also offer a level of peer support at that point. So wherever you come into contact with the programme, you would be receiving some peer support there and then. It's not just a case of us going out and doing a sales spiel. We introduce it and we offer the peer support there and then. And then if that person feels they need one-to-one and not so much community or group, we can then do a referral to be receiving tailored one-to-one support for that parent or family. Over to you, Shelley.
Thank you. So why is peer support key in here in the unheard? The very nature of peer support and the beauty of it is that on the face of it, it looks really, really simple, and it is. It's kindness, it's a cup of tea, it's listening, it's going for a walk. It's all those simple things that make a real key difference for people. What's special about our volunteers is that they're well trained to do this, they're supported to do this, and also they've got the time. Building that relationship, it doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time for people to feel safe and feel able to share their true thoughts, feelings and experiences. So when the peer support is done right at that one-to-one level, it gives the parents an opportunity to share what's really going on for them, what's really led them to where they are, and all sorts of different things. That can leave a parent feeling quite vulnerable. That might be the first time they've done that to somebody who's outside of their sort of close circle. Our volunteers are so well trained and supported that they can hear those and receive them and not be shocked by them, but support parents to share them and empower them to share them with the people who are providing their care. That's key. It's not about the peer supporter finding out what's going on and then running away with it and fixing all of the problems and getting the right thing. It's about equipping the parent with the skills and the confidence to know that it's okay for them to be honest about what's really going on, and that they will receive good care on the back of that. They're also well trained to know how to share safeguarding concerns, and our volunteers are really, really skilled at this. That ties in with what Em was saying about ensuring that we're really open and honest at all times about what we do and why we're there, being really clear about what our role is. And in turn, that doesn't impact on the relationship, because a lot of the times these stories are waiting to be heard, and it is a positive once they can share them if it's done in the right way. Once a parent is supported to be open and honest with professionals and share what's really going on for them, that helps the professional, because it means they can give the right care and the right support and use that information to develop care plans that are effective. It's hard for professionals to do that, and that's not to say they haven't got the skills to do that. What's missing is sometimes the time and the consistency of the relationship, and that's where peer support can really support with that. I say support a lot during
the key theme.
Yeah.
So we're going to start to look at how the support supports the role of maternity professionals. I've done it now. So it fits very well with the Better Births agenda, and I do believe that's something that Celia may be touching on later. But for here, we've sort of picked out that the peer support really helps and provides a personalised approach to a woman's maternity journey. So the volunteers and staff carry out an intermediary role that reduces pressure on busy midwives. we're quite keen that peer support is not a cheap replacement for midwifery. We're not midwives, and we can't be midwives unless we go and train to be a midwife. We're not there to replace somebody's job. What we're there to do is to make that working relationship really successful, to better make a woman's pregnancy better for her and her experience better for her and for that baby. So we can support women to navigate maternity care and prevent problems from escalating. Women might be sat at home, families might be sat at home with problems and saying, oh, I'm not bothering ringing my midwife, she's not rang me, and all these things. But actually what we can do is say, no, get your notes out, let's have a look at the number. Your midwife will have given you that number, let's ring up together. And that we're supporting them to communicate with the professionals around them instead of something growing to be much bigger. So we do go into women's homes, families' homes, and support there. Obviously, at the moment, it looks slightly different with COVID restrictions here and there, but we're doing it. And we can accompany marginalised women to antenatal appointments. We can accompany any women in couples and families to appointments. So a key area of the programme is that we support women and families to create independence rather than dependence. So, for example, if you've got somebody who's got to get to the hospital for an essential antenatal appointment and they don't turn up, and actually the reason they've not turned up is because they've got significant mental health concerns that prevent them from leaving the home alone, actually a peer supporter can go with them, plan the bus route, look what bus route they've got to get on the bus together and go and access that appointment. And then when the peer support's not involved, that woman and family are still able to do those skills and get on that bus and go to the appointments. They've not depended on us taking them in our car to an appointment. We really support two-way communication with health professionals, as Shelley just said, opening up those open and honest conversations. I know you're feeling low, talk to your midwife, she can help you, he can help you. They're not going to whisk in and take your baby away. It's important you're open, you're honest, and you work with the professionals around you. A lot of the families we work with, and particularly when we're talking about the unheard, there is heavy safeguarding involvement, a lot of social care, and there is that fear that somebody's going to turn up and take that baby. Even if the plan is for that baby to be removed at birth, that fear is still very much there. But the better open and honest conversations women and families have, the better their care can be. Over to you, Shelley.
Thanks. So I'll read this one out just in case anybody is just listening and has switched the screens off. But feedback from the maternity services and the midwives that we work with is really positive around this service. Steph Longson is actually the senior midwife on labour ward at Royal Derby, and she currently trains our volunteers in what they would like to see in when they're providing birth support. When a volunteer is providing birth support, they're on call 2 weeks before baby's due date and 2 weeks after. Our volunteers are absolutely amazing. Similar to how you would be if your friend or your sister or somebody was, so that's not drinking, it's keeping your phone near you, having plans in place so that you can get to the hospital quickly. So that is pretty amazing in itself. But Steph says the programme has become invaluable to our maternity service, and especially for the midwives on the labour ward. The women DCPP support are vulnerable, and this vulnerability is exacerbated in pregnancy, during birth and into the postnatal period. The service provides much needed support, which in turn supports midwives in delivering the specialist care they need to provide. The feedback I have received is overwhelmingly positive, and the volunteers are regarded as essential to the well-being of the women and babies they support. It is also clear how well the volunteers are regarded and trusted by these women, and how the training you provide is very well structured, thorough and appropriate to their needs. So that's a little bit about what Steph said. And next, coming up, we've got a video from Claire Brackenbury, who is the midwife who leads on the Juno continuity of care team at Derby Hospital. Over 50% of our referrals come from the continuity of care team. They work with families who have got lots of social complexities and lots of things going on for them, and they regularly refer into our service to support with that. So I'm going to let Em share the screen for that one now.
Thanks, Shelley. Okay, I'll just play Claire's video now and then we'll sort of talk afterwards.
So to provide a couple of examples of how we work closely together as midwives with the Derby Community Parenting Programme, there was a lady who we've recently provided care for, who unfortunately she'd had 2 of her children removed from her care previously, and unfortunately the circumstances hadn't changed with this pregnancy, so that was to be the outcome this time as well. Although the outcome meant that the baby wasn't in her care, we've had feedback from this woman afterwards that actually the care and the support that she got from her peer support worker and the midwives meant that, although, as I say, it was upsetting that baby didn't remain with her, that she had a better experience than she had done before, and actually has said it was a really positive experience. And the outcome of that has meant that she has now been able to look at aspects of her life which caused a concern for professionals, and is taking action to improve those, which for us as midwives as well as for DCPP is fantastic that we've been able to make that difference to support this woman to make those choices. And another example is a lady that we're currently providing care for who has been in an abusive relationship. There was significant domestic violence in this relationship. The woman was minimising this. There were other complexities involved as well, and the outcome was looking as if this baby would be removed from her care. Following having a peer supporter allocated to her and her being under the care of the Juno Continuity of Carer team has actually really turned this around. This woman is now has ended her relationship. She understands the risks posed from this perpetrator and has taken other steps to improve her the concerns that we held. And obviously social care are heavily involved with this case, but if things continue as they are now, it's looking likely this lady will be able to keep the baby in her care and will be able to provide ongoing support after the birth of baby. And as I said earlier, the peer supporters provide care for 3 months postnatally, which is longer than we can as midwives. So it's lovely to know that as we discharge from maternity care, they've got that ongoing support. We truly value our working relationship of working alongside Derby Community Parenting Programme and have nothing but positive words to say about them.
I'll just swap back to our PowerPoint.
So we're going to look at the next. There isn't a typical case of support as to what our families look like. As I said at the beginning, each families are different and they've got different things going on for them. But we wanted to sort of share an experience of a lady that we did support. So this isn't one of the people that Claire was speaking about. This one was a while ago. But as you can see, lots of different things going on for this lady that we supported. Peer support played a really vital part in getting the best outcomes for mum and baby, and that doesn't mean baby going home with mum. It doesn't mean baby being removed and placed into foster care. It's respecting what the professional's judgment is and supporting the conversations around that. And the peer support played a key part in getting best outcomes, not only for the pregnancy, for the labour and the birth, which the peer supporter was there for, but actually also for the future and opening the doors for whatever future support looks like. As you can see, there's lots of risk factors and lots of challenges going on for this lady. It was third baby. First baby was a bit older, had been adopted. Second baby was born less than a year ago and was going through the adoption process. And there was nothing to show that this would be different for this baby. However, just to be clear, that decision wasn't made until after baby was born. It wasn't final until after baby was born. So if you can imagine going through a pregnancy, not knowing, or maybe knowing on some level, but not actually having a final decision about what that's going to look like, that's challenging in itself without all of the different complexities going on. Peer support was able to sort of unpick some of these things, talk about them, but also talk about other things as well. So we're not just completely focused on what's going on in the pregnancy and the baby. We can talk about past, we can talk about what was on TV last night, we can talk about all sorts of different things, all that go into making it a genuine reciprocal relationship. the other thing is with the peer support, we're lucky in that when we're supporting continuity of care, they will go to people's homes to do their clinical appointments if possible. Not everybody has that luxury, but we can take the peer support out to the people who we're supporting. So for example, this lady lived with a partner. It wasn't a positive supportive relationship, so even when the midwifery team were visiting and giving their support, there was an element of somebody else in the room. The peer support was able to go and sit. I mean, she didn't have a luxurious garden. The peer supporter sat on a wall outside, sometimes in the rain, holding up 2 umbrellas, having those conversations. And actually, at some point during the support, when the parent was talking about her past and things that had happened, she cried, and she said, "That's the first time I've cried in front of somebody in over 20 years." That's the power of it. So I'll let Em just talk a little bit more about what that meant for the professionals involved.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've captured here the feedback from the social worker involved in this case, and we thought she summed it up really well. So I will read through it, just for anybody that, like we said at the start, is a bit sick of the screen today, but I'll also unpick it as we go. So because of DCPP, this lady has seen that she is worthy of a supportive relationship, and she had the opportunity to have some me time. She felt she could talk to you about her experiences, including her memories of her other children. And as Shelley's just identified on the slide prior to this lady wasn't in a healthy relationship. It was quite an abusive and exploitative relationship. She also didn't have any positive or supportive relationships around her outside of that partner relationship. So this was the first time since her first child had been removed from her care about 15 years ago that she'd had somebody that she could talk to about her thoughts, feelings and experiences around that. I'm sure you can imagine there was lots of professionals involved, but actually a peer supporter was there just to listen, not to do anything, not to listen, to tick any boxes or to assess anything, just there to listen. And that was the first time she really started to talk about those experiences, and understandably some of those involved quite a lot of trauma. I know that if this lady had been left to manage her pregnancy and delivery alone, she may not have been available for the goodbye contact with her daughter a year later. Baby had a positive experience because of all the previous support provided to this lady. She looked forward to seeing you again, and this has helped her accept ongoing emotional support from the birth parent support worker in relation to the adoption of baby. So this, the social worker actually got in touch with the programme after a support had closed with this lady and said, final contact's been arranged. This lady won't go unless she's got some support there of somebody she feels won't judge her and will just be there for her. And the peer supporter actually went and supported her to have a final contact. Baby fell asleep on her. She'd rocked baby to sleep. She'd created some really special moments for herself and for baby. And equally, as Shelley said, the peer supporter was at her birth. She'd encouraged skin to skin photos, things that were important for both that baby going forward in their life and for this lady to move forward and keep working on herself. For the 2 pregnancies prior to this baby, this lady had never engaged with any ongoing services after the birth of her children. Once she was discharged from midwifery and obviously ongoing social care involvement to some extent, she'd never accepted ongoing support. However, with the support of peer support, she was able to transition from midwifery through social care and then into the support of the adoption worker as well. And she also agreed to have some long-term contraception in order to give her body a break and to give her some time to work on the things that she identified were important to her. Without this type of service, many women are left unheard and unsupported in what is a significant and sometimes traumatising life event. Women deserve to have a birth partner, whatever their circumstances, and without judgment. And I think it's something Shelley always says, so I'm going to steal it here. But at a birth, that peer supporter is the only person in that room that's not paid to be there. So passion and enthusiasm and all of that can bring us to our careers, but actually to be there and not be paid for something speaks even bigger volumes of something. So the power of that in somebody's room when they're having a baby, wherever that room is absolutely just unbelievable. I can't even describe it. I'm going to hand back over to Shelley.
I'll whiz through this really quickly because I'm aware that we could talk about this all day, but we've tried to squash it as much as we can. It's really important that everyone's voices are acknowledged and included when shaping and planning maternity services. I think everybody here would agree with that. We want to make sure that the services that we're providing work for everybody. I think something that is really important to take away from this, what we're sharing today, is actually for some families, this needs to be done really carefully. They don't have necessarily the support networks around them, and it's not enough. And sometimes the passion from maternity services to make sure that they're doing this thing of including everybody's voices, it's not enough to just sort of like turn up at somebody's bedside, open up that conversation and get the information that you need to support your development of your service. That needs to be done, and you need to make sure sufficient time and support is in place around that, because it could be that, you know, you're opening something up and peer support can do that. It can give that opportunity to do that. Done in the right way, sharing your story and your experiences and knowing that that's going to help shape services can be really, really empowering. And again, a peer supporter can help a family work out the best way for them to do that. If the time isn't right for that family, we also need to be able to respect that. It might be that they've got no interest in developing or shaping services that they're potentially not going to be involved with again. That's okay as well. But peer support can still play a part in advocating for these families, and we can use that. Having local maternity services heavily involved in the programme, working collaboratively, involving them in our training and showing the peer supporters what high quality, good, nurturing maternity care looks like, means that our peer supporters can highlight strengths and development opportunities that other people might miss. That's really key as well. We can do that. So I'm aware there's loads of different people from different areas listening today. How can you sort of like get involved? I would just say, I've got a whole list, but we're running sort of out of time. So I'm going to say just champion peer support, respect like the role and try and see the value of what it can bring and how it can enhance the service that you deliver. If you're a decision maker or somebody who can commission services, look into investing in and commissioning a good quality peer support service around your trust. I think that's kind of key.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Shelley and Emma. There's more information at the end of that. And I'm also aware for the audience, because we have run out of time.
Sorry.
This is a huge project and really useful for us to think about in supporting women. And we've talked about vulnerable women and women with multiple problems. And I think the case study you shared just showed some of the complexities that we have to deal with, and we have to provide support again.
I love
I would say to the audience, do go to meet the experts, Parents First. I'm not sure if you two will be there, but Celia Supaya will be there, and she'll be speaking about perinatal peer support. So, and I know that Shelley and Emma will be very happy to be contacted, because this is their passion. And they've illustrated how much it's their passion. We did have some very positive things. Lynn Fitzwiz, I think I haven't pronounced that well, Lynn, sorry. She says this type of support is so important, it should be available countrywide. Well done, ladies. Great presentation. And Deborah Ramsey says this project sounds amazing, filling gaps. Do you have volunteers from all communities thinking about language and cultural differences? Well, Deborah, I'm sending you to the little stand to find out more, because we have run out of time.